What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 440 Guitar Podcast. I'm your host, Jarrell. Thank you so much for tuning up. You can catch the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I think it's no longer a thing anymore, but you can catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Of course, those are the biggest things. If you have any recommendations for folks that I should speak to on this show, you can send me an email at the440podcast@gmail.com. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode, a long while. A lot of things happened. I started a whole new podcast titled Artists Like Us, where it's just artists in general, so it's not specific to, guitarists or whatnot. So it's kind of like just anyone artist wise. So just started that, so feel free to check that out. And we'll be doing just some slight updates as far as how the podcast will be here for the 440. Gonna kind of change some things up, so it won't be just guests only. But speaking of guests, I'm always happy to welcome this gentleman back on the show. Of course, he is the one half of the great Gino Matteo band, and I welcome him back, Gino Matteo. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you doing, bro?
I'm all right. Not too bad at all. So I was just before us starting the meeting, I was kind of going back listening to the album that you guys released, Shake the Roots, back in 2022. Solid album, man. Really good.
Thanks so much, bro. I appreciate that.
Really, really good. Yeah, no problem. I think one of the things that I really enjoy about it, I feel like sometimes artists, it's a different type of energy when you're recording sometimes versus like live performance, because I've seen videos of like live performance for you guys, and you guys sound great. The energy is awesome. And I would love to see you guys live one day. But as far as for recording, sometimes that energy doesn't transcend, and it may not necessarily be like the artist's fault or anything. It's just sometimes that's just the way it is. I feel like for certain artists, I won't say their names, but where like it sounds great. Like I've heard, for example, like I remember Mars Volta, the singer Cedric Bixler, he had an example of that as far as like, I think it was like AC/DC or something. He was like they were like live, they were exactly how they were on like the songs, and he was like, that was so disappointing to me, because he wanted like such like a bigger experience, whatever the case may be. And then sometimes it's just and then sometimes the audio, like the recording, it's like it sounds fine, but it seems restricted, but this one, you know what I mean? So listening to your guys' stuff, like there's still like a nice vibe to it. It doesn't seem restricted. It's maybe more structured because it's, it's an album versus like, some cool stuff you can do from a live perspective. But really nice, easy listening, man. Really nice,
I appreciate that, man. Thanks. You brought up the Mars Volta. I'm a Mars Volta freak, and I understand exactly what you mean. Like there is something there, like most bands, like there's that live album versus, a live cut versus studio version. I always thought there should be two versions.
Yeah.
One of my first mentors was a guy named Joey Delgado, who's like my uncle, and he told me really, really young. He's like, I was like, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to do that on the album because I can't do that live. I don't really want to. I don't want to be able to. I want to be able to reproduce it live. And I'm not in like the pop music business where you kind of have to. Like I don't. I can play an interpretation of my own song. Well, I'm not famous enough to where anyone cares.
That's an interesting That's an interesting point, definitely. Because I even remember Tom Morello was saying in an interview, he was like, he's like, there's some songs I don't remember that we made. He's like, I don't remember how to play them. It's like it's made
I'm sure there's also like sounds he made that you can't get to real quick and get back to the song, Yeah. Like I remember when he does that really cool thing, taking the cable out and go wah 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 wah. I just picture myself doing it and then putting it back and then just missing. Like my key, I know the one is coming, but I'm just.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I didn't know you were a big Mars Volta fan. I'm a huge Mars Volta fan.
Oh yeah.
Have
Who
you
is your favorite
enjoyed
drummer with Volta?
what's that?
Who is your favorite drummer with Volta? That's my
Oh,
question.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I always feel like John Theodore is probably going to be my all-time favorite.
It's good.
Yeah, that energy that he contributed to Deloused and Amputexture, like, just it was to me like the fulfillment was there, like sonically, like everything was there, and he nailed he nailed the textures and everything. And I get pissed off when people say that, like, oh, like he's pretty good, but I'm like, no, he's great.
Yeah, no, he's incredible.
Yeah,
and him landing with Queens of the Stone Age is like chef's kiss.
Yeah,
what a perfect gig for him.
Absolutely. I saw him perform. I saw Queens of Stone Age live once. I think it was at the Gibson Amphitheater. I think it was like the last performance before they shut that theater down. But yeah, he was playing drums, and I was like, oh snap! I was like, yeah, wild.
No, Jade and I have been Queens of the Stone Age. Well, she's been a Queens of the Stone Age fanatic forever, and I was a fan like in high school and stuff, but I didn't really get into them until I met Jade years later. And like I knew who they were. I listened to it. I liked it, but it wasn't like I didn't do a deep dive. And then years later, I did a deep dive, and I just did like a case study on Queens of the Stone Age in my head. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this band is brilliant.
Yeah,
and they've always had just beast. I mean, Grohl, Castillo, every drummer they've had is just beastlier. And they landed on with John Theodore, and I was just so grateful when Theodore was like, because they're like a band that was like Queens of the Stone Age. Every drummer they had was like, oh, is he as good as Grohl? Or like, did he cut the because Grohl played like iconic drum parts for Queens of the Stone Age.
Right.
And then like, you just want someone that's just going to be a beast in there. And like, I can't preach the good word of John Theodore enough.
Yeah.
I have like a man crush on him. Like, like I want to be on stage with him, just like bashing him. Like, there he goes. Look at him go.
Right. And I felt bad too as far as for how that panned out. Because I know after the tour when they were touring for Amputexture, and it seemed like there was just a lot of miscommunication, at least based off of the documentary Omar and Cedric. If This Gets Weird, which is incredible. I don't think it's just great. So that miscommunication as far as just like, we were just kind of dicks, and like, like just kind of owning up to it at the end. But I was like, man, so just, it's like, it's sad. So maybe, who knows, maybe one day they can, they at least play like on like some of Omar's, like, one of his 50,000 projects that he has released.
Of course.
Yeah.
I really like Philo though, their new drummer. She's dope.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really, really good. She's
I like
really
her a lot.
Because I know the last album, right? The I guess self-titled album that they came out before, that they had a different drummer on that one. But I know for the live performances, she's been with them touring. I've been meaning to see them live, man. Like that's a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah,
like I gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
They just like played like a show at the Deftones. I'm like, what?
I know. They were here. I live in Portland now.
Oh, okay.
But they just played, and my friend Sirius went to the show, and he was like, dude, fucking Mars Volta opened for the Deftones. And I was like, the fuck? Like, Deftones are fine. They're, great, very famous band. But I was like, it just didn't track to me,
Yeah.
Also, they're very different. Like, Deftones are like this kind of like music that like you goth bang to,
That's wild.
You know what I mean though. It's like,
yeah.
You know exactly what I mean.
They've been through a lot of changes. Sonically their music has changed a lot. I think I'll give them credit as far as, to me they've, for how much their music has changed, I feel like it's kind of like a Chili Pepper situation where like it's 100%. Sounding better the newer it's gotten,
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a lot more like, better, but also like better in a way of like more listenable too.
Yes.
I think, like how like Incubus's first records when they had Dirk Lance playing bass were like this sonic powerhouse, crazy like sound, and then kind of became more of a pop band,
Right.
which is great. Like I have nothing against pop music. Pop music's
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Like you just, I think that happens naturally with artists and bands when they kind of when they when a few of the members stay together long enough to mature as humans.
Right.
You kind of go like, hey, I want to play an open chord. Yeah.
So everybody plays this E just right here.
Yeah, you're like, I'm 45. Why are we still in C standard?
Hilarious. Nobody can hear anybody. Drummer's like, I don't even know what
No,
just happened there.
You've been pissing off your bass player's frequency for 20 years.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, bro. Yeah, I was gonna ask you too. As far as who was drumming with you guys for the album that you guys released?
That was a drummer in California named Carson Ford. Young guy, very smart drummer, really good player, really smart, really funny, easy to tour with. I like him.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Carson Ford rules.
Nice. Are there
he's still in Southern California. He's playing around and stuff.
Oh, nice. I know, obviously as far as like a guitar drummer relationship, I know sometimes it's important to have like that chemistry of just like that sensibility of you want to do something different live that maybe you didn't practice or whatnot, but if you guys have been playing so long together, it's like, okay, he wants to go here, like do you kind of have like those type of connections or like conversations or sonically, if you will? That's like 1,000,000% what it's like kind of about for me. And I played with a drummer who was like my brother. There's a guy named Lavelle Jones. I played with him for many years. And I encourage anybody who listens to your show, just YouTube Lavelle Jones drums and just watch. A lot of the videos are videos I took on stage. Oh, wow.
When he would we're at a festival stage and like they would call, for him to take a solo. And I knew I had a minute and a half or 2 minutes. Hey, Ike, there's my cat's here. I knew I had like 2 minutes to like film, so I grabbed my phone real quick and I'm like right next to the drums, like filming him. And a lot of the videos, if you see a Lavelle Jones drum solo, they cut off before it's over because the hit's about to come and I need to get back to my shit.
Oh shit. That is so interesting.
So like Lavelle, I remember when he's since passed away. He was like one of my best friends, and and when he when he would see me post one, I'd like text it to him, and he's like, "Why'd you cut me off?" I was like, "Well, because the tag was coming, and I needed to play it."
Yeah. It's like, bro, I was right next to you when I recorded that. I was playing the song with you.
He's like, are you emailing people in the audience who post clips of you?
Oh man.
But he was like, he's talking about the relationship between like the drummer and everything. Like he and I were like just locked. He used to call me Chank. That was my nickname because every time we're playing a funk groove and I would always tag his snare. Just tag. So he called me Chank because he said that's what it sounded like when I hit his snare with him. And I was like, cool. That's still my that's all my passwords.
Chank 440.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. On Tranquil, it's Chank 432.
What do you mean I locked out of my account? So what's your weapon of choice today as far as guitars? Like what have you kind of been playing live or whatnot? Or actually, have you been touring recently, or what have you been up to these days?
Well, we've stopped touring for a minute because my mom My mom lives here in Portland,
Hmm.
and that's why we moved here because she was here. And my mom has dementia now,
Oh,
so she's not very mobile right now. She's kind of, she's got pretty bad dementia. So I'm here in Portland taking care of her and being near her
hmm.
for now. And
Hmm.
then um we'll start touring again after this record. I'm just kind of hunkering down right now, writing this record with taking and just being near my mom.
Yeah, no,
But
understandably,
she's doing
understandably.
really well. She's kicking ass.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good. And how's Jade been doing?
Oh, she's kicking ass. She's doing great. We're staying right now is at this house that a friend of ours owns, and there's a recording studio in the basement, like a really nice one, and like
Oh,
her old
nice.
not everything's like it was an operational studio in the '90s, and so Jade and I are like re how do you what the fuck is the word re we're fixing it up. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like not restoring, but
Yeah,
making it a
kind of.
studio. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm putting like a bunch of stuff in our like in the story about like the progress and stuff. I'm really looking forward. Jade and I are both like really looking forward to recording this shit.
Nice,
You
nice.
know.
I mean, based on from this album and the new stuff you've been working on, can you give a little bit of a just like a I don't know a descriptive preview on kind of where do you guys want to take it? From a music perspective.
Yeah, this one's um much more like to basics. Very like I'm gonna do very limited overdubbing at all, if at all, and then I'm just gonna track everything live, and I'm not gonna have a lot of instrumentation. It's gonna be real bare, I think.
Nice.
Um, I want to leave a lot of space, and I want to make a kind of a record that well, what it's I I always feel like it's hard to say like I want to make this because it's in charge. As you make it, it'll tell you what it's going to be. You know.
Right. Right.
So like if you come into a project where like I really want to make a record that sounds like this, I'm like, good fucking luck, it won't happen. Like
Make a plan and God laughs.
yeah, exactly. Like go ahead. It'll come out how it's going to come out, but it won't be that.
Right.
uh,
Right.
at least for me anyway. So I would it end up the life it's taking of like I always like as you're writing songs, I think that if you play it well enough and like sit in it enough, it'll tell you where it wants to live.
Yeah.
And I feel like these songs want to live in a. If I was to put it in a genre area, it would be like a early '90s Seattle sound.
Okay.
Uh, with a female soul singer,
Nice.
kind of.
Nice. I like what you
So
said as far as leaving space, because I feel like well, one, it reminds me of just like my affinity for like the white stripe or the what was, right?
yeah,
Um, just that dichotomy of him, him kind of playing around everything that Meg was doing and just kind of the genius around that. Like I remember showing my dad the album Elephant, and my dad was just like, so it's just the drums and the guitar, and I was like, yeah, and he was just like, it seems so empty, and I'm like, that's a part of like the genius, like, there's
yeah,
just so much that he's like creating all around, you
yeah. It's
know.
part of it.
Yeah, yeah, just create that space. Like it's just, I just found it so fascinating as far as like everything that he was doing. But then also too, like what you said on, like you kind of have to let the music take you, almost like a Ouija board in a sense.
100%. Yeah,
But I've been feeling that too recently, just with like my stuff, because like there like I have people that I'm trying to get for like a band for like playing my stuff, but then like I've kind of had to wait as far as like what do I want this to be, because originally I was recording stuff and I was like, nah, I don't really like that, I don't know if I want to take it somewhere, and then just like as time goes on, like shit gets more fucked up.
yeah, yeah. Of course.
I'm like, I think I want to take it this way, but then also just like listening to different examples of people like using that space, and I'm like, okay, because it's like it's something where like I want to like play guitar and rap at the same time.
Yeah.
But like having like and then I always forgot that, like watching like old Beastie Boys live videos of like the guy rapping, he was playing guitar, like before I didn't even know, it didn't even occur to me,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, you just like there's a guitar.
right, yeah, because I thought it was just a guitar player. Like, oh, he's doing it himself. So
Yeah,
like, there's
yeah.
just a lot of interesting takeaways when it comes to like let the music in the space, like just that being even more important than like how many notes can you play at a blistering speed.
Yeah. 100%. I get you with that because I have a real problem with virtuoso,
Mm.
and it's it's like it seems like a carrot that you can't catch.
Mm.
Like I don't have the hands to do the that real fast, Tim Henson stuff, all that stuff that
Yeah.
is so impressive in a video online. I can't do it, and it makes me wrestle as like a musician. Like, all right, can I not do it, or do I not want to do it, or do I not want to do it because I can't do it because I'm a fucking boomer or whatever? You know what I mean? Or like I'm actually an old millennial. It's not my fault, but but you know what I mean? Like you just get stuck with like, well, shit. If that's like, it's like you see a great player, like, well, I'm gonna fucking quit. Like, well, yeah, but what is, you have to identify the value of like what it gives you.
Right.
I'm rambling a lot right now, but you know what I
No,
mean?
no, you're making some really great points. You're making some really great points. No, I feel like I have that conversation every other day with myself. You know what I
Because
mean?
your hands are good. My theory is like your hands are gonna go, right? Your voice is gonna go if you're a singer. Your voice is gonna go. All that shit's gonna go. When I was really young in music, I was obsessed with like with Bob Dylan and Tom Waits and people who I thought were like Joni Mitchell, people who I thought were like amazing lyricists. They could just turn a phrase, and I became obsessed with words, and I was like, your hands are going, your voice is going, but your words and your story can't go anywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
So I stopped chasing virtuosity, not in a way that I plateaued, more in a way like, hey man, let's simple it. There's only room for like there's only 12 notes. Like, well, and unless you're going to play another type of non-Western music, but like,
Yeah.
like it's a matter of like the space and giving your ear a chance to just exist.
Right.
There's I don't. There's a songwriter from New Orleans or outside New Orleans named Dax Riggs. I almost did Dennis Miller. Like, I don't want to get off on a rant here, but Dax Riggs is, I think, a perfect example of like songwriting with space. It's not real riff heavy. It sounds like if you gave a folk musician a fuzz pedal and heroin.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, where did you even come from with the sonic, the stuff that's coming out of your mouth and your I mean, Dax Riggs is. Are you familiar with Dax Riggs at all?
No, I'll have to check him out.
He was the lead singer of a band called Acid Bath, who I loved.
Mm.
Who actually just got back together. They're doing shows again. But
Oh wow.
they were like a sludge metal band from southern Louisiana, and like just a swamp metal. And it's just like all the great metal you love, just like slowed way down to be like, I love them. I love everything that Dax Riggs has ever produced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because it's interesting too. Because like I also think about like the kids of today. Like if they want to learn guitar, like I can only imagine how much more demotivating it is now, just because you have social media, you have all of these great players that are posting all the stuff online, and it's like I feel like it's really hard identifying like how kids are learning guitar today because of all of that. You know what I mean? And I know guitar in general today, you know, it's like a in the background, you know, where like back in the day it was like this is the forefront, like, you know, 4x12 amps, you know, you know, and then now it's like no, you got to plug into this mixer. Is it?
Mhm.
It's like, no, you can't. It's too loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, of course.
yeah. So it's from a virtuosity perspective. Like, yeah, I can only imagine how demotivating it would be. But then, you know, yeah, I think you make a great point too, as far as just like, you know, kind of focus. It's almost like back to the basics on like why you picked up the guitar in the first place.
Exactly. That's
Mm,
because you lose sight of that so easy.
mm,
Like
absolutely.
I can honestly say, like, if I'm looking at whatever, like my like discography or whatever, right? My first record I ever put out, I was I personally I don't like any of my records except for one of them, and the reason is because I have the experiences of recording them like and what the songs are about and things like that, where I'm like, oh fuck that, you know.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
The first record I had, I was way over my head. The producer, I really let him take the reins, and there was a lot of things done that I would have not done now. Obviously, I mean, you can look back. Every artist could be like, I would have changed that or whatever. But what made me sick was I don't think I was being myself because I didn't know who I
Uh,
was yet.
yeah.
And that's, I think, a big problem with young musicians recording, like putting out records too early. Because she's like, and I get it. You know, you got nice teeth and you're young and you people want to make some money off you. Do it. But like, there is something to be said for like, man, I shouldn't have put a record out till I was 30. Like,
Mm, mm,
like
mm.
I needed to have the two nervous breakdowns, and like I need to experience homelessness. I needed to experience getting the shit beat out of me. Like you know, just and that's maybe me just being too method about shit, you know. Uh, and like, you know, you got to live it, whatever. But like, there's there's something to that with when it just it comes to like knowing who you are and knowing what you want to sound like and knowing what it's going to sound like.
Right.
Because knowing who you are is really like that goes tandem with listening to what you're writing to let it be evolve. You know,
Yeah.
that can't like connect unless you're kind of like I'm secure in myself. You know,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder has a great quote. He said, God already wrote all the best music, all the best songs. He just gives me most of them.
Oh wow.
I
That's great.
was like, that's fantastic.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I don't think you're being too method at all because I think there's a lot of people that would share that same sentiment, you know, including myself. I think Lauryn Hill said a quote very similar as far as like just as far as like, you know, living like live first before you do anything else, you know, because
Yeah.
that's going to influence what you make in music. And
And
that's
also, it'll give you a chance to collect your influences and soak them up in not a nostalgic way or some like tribute way, but in your own way. You know, because I mean, guitar players are wrought with this. Like you know as well as I do. You can see a guitar player, and you can 9 times out of 10 you can tell who their influence is. Their top three guys, you could probably pick them out.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's just it's about like being able to like you'll never be able to shed that, but it's about getting as much of yourself into it as you can.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
like I'll never ever stop sounding like I'm trying to sound like Joey Delgado or Chris Kane when I solo.
Hmm.
It just kind of I watched them too close when I was a kid, and I've had that with with students of mine where I don't teach students for more than like a few lessons
Hmm.
because I've found that they end up playing like me,
Mm.
or they'll be playing. That happened to me. It happens to everybody. Like it's how you learn the language. Like you end up saying the same things your mom and dad say. You
Right.
know?
Right. Having the same opinions. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's just tutelage in the same way. And music is a language, as pure as anything.
Yeah.
purer than anything, I think.
Right.
Uh, so like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's why another reason I don't take beginning students, because I think it's really unethical.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
especially nowadays, I feel like a prick charging you for
Right.
something you can learn on YouTube. Very like beginning students that email me, I'm very kind. I'm always very nice. I'm like, here, and I'll send them a playlist of like, here's some very simple, basic videos. Like Marty Schwartz is great for that. Like old videos of Marty Schwartz, just simple.
Oh yeah.
Like here's how you play cowboy chords. Go ahead.
Right.
I'm not going to charge you $80 an hour for that. I'm not a dick.
Right.
I would
Right.
feel like a monster, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's something to be said about that too, because I think that is kind of a predatory business thing where it's like you have this amazing player, and then it's like if you're not even remotely on at least like the third level back from a difficulty or from like a expertise perspective, it's like what are you really going to learn out of that hour?
Yeah, for
Versus
real.
just hearing great stuff. Like, it's like,
That's what I
yeah.
don't mean to interrupt you, but Wynton Marsalis had a great quote about that.
Mm.
He said, "The thing I learned after teaching is all my students are full of shit. All they want me to do is tell them they sound good. That means I'm done teaching them.
Mm.
I'm not the person to tell them they're supposed to sound good. The crowd's supposed to tell them that.
Right.
You know." And like, he didn't say all that. He just said the first part. I added shit. But
No, I mean that's so real. No, yeah,
mm-hmm.
that's such a real thing, man. Definitely. It's funny. There's this video or this movie I watched called Blue Giant. Not necessarily guitar related, but just from a musician perspective, very inspirational. Have you seen Blue Giant? It's like a Japanese anime music film. Okay. It's this it's so good. And it just touches on a lot of points from a musician perspective, even though the main character, he plays saxophone, he wants to be like the greatest saxophone player. But he doesn't want to be in the vein of like I'm the best, like I'm better than Coltrane or anything. It's like he's just inspired to push himself as much as possible. And he moves to Tokyo. He practices like on like in front of like this pond or whatever, and like he's playing scales or he's playing, you hear a little bit of like Love Supreme and a bunch of other stuff, and eventually he finds like these other folks to kind of create a band essentially. And then eventually they end up creating their own music. But the stories within each character and how they're all connected, it's like it really got me emotional. I was like, I can't believe like one, like it's like Japanese language, English subtitles. I'm so connected to this story. Like I feel like there's no disconnect from that notion. And just the story is told so well where you're just like, damn, like I feel that, like
well, it's a
that.
universal. They're like displaying a universal tenant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
I saw an animated. Did you see that movie Soul, that Disney movie?
Yes.
That movie. It's been years. Oh, damn it! I have a mental block every time I say the words "it's been" in my brain. I have to go. It's been. It's been a couple years since I've seen that movie, but it's there's a scene where they talk about him being in the zone. You remember that? Like he's playing and then he goes to that place. And he's like, and I remember seeing that and going like, oh,
right.
Like that's so well put for kids to understand what that place is.
Yeah.
Like because the whole point of playing music is to get lost.
Right.
I think it's just to get lost. Just close your eyes and just fucking tiz them out,
Yeah.
Just really, really soak it up and really just try to sit and listen to everything.
Yeah.
And when I saw that movie, I was like, "Oh shit, this is dark." He died. Oh shit! and then like all of a sudden he's playing the piano and it's just coming out of him, and it's how people used to talk about like guitar legends, like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like they talk about interviews, like it just flowed out of him. Like there was never a stop. It came out, and that's because of that place,
Right.
And it's like that's why I always want to tell my students, like, stop getting stuck on what the world wants you to get stuck on. Like
Mm.
it's like you talked about the comparing yourself to other players and all this stuff in the social media, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's what it's like women in fashion magazines in like the '90s or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. It's just, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say it's detrimental because it's not, but like as it says discouraging for a player to just be like, I don't even understand what's happening,
Right. Right.
and like there's this unattainable standard that the guitar world makes you live up to, and also we also measure everything in terms of money. Like the success is like this album sold this many, so it's good. Well,
Right.
that's never ever a thought. Like it took me years to not feel like a loser because I'm not successful. Like I'm not a successful musician. By in some circles, I'd be considered like a loser, you know. And you just have to be like that. You have to remind yourself what matters because you can't take any of the money with you. You can't take any of the shit with you. All these, I live in mostly like a panic anxiety state most of the time, and I am just trying to exist without trying. I don't have like big ambitions of being a rock star, or I never have. Thank God I'm old now. But like, like I never had like those huge ambitions. I did for a couple albums because I said I was listening to a producer. I was listening to this. I was doing this. And then a second album, I felt like I was writing for someone else, not for myself. Like the songs are my stories, but I crafted them in a way that I'm like, I bet people would like this, and I was wrong, because it it just it's just like I said, you can't try to carve something. It
Right.
just should come out the way it comes out, and that's what it is. And
Mm.
whether it sells or anyone even listens to it is not the basis for success.
Right.
0 streams, genius record. I don't give a shit. It
Right.
doesn't like all of that is such an illusion.
Mm.
When we all lay down to go to bed, we all put pants on the same. Like it really. If you get high enough, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, man, what you said was really powerful as far as like, 0 streams, great for a genius record. Like don't focus on what the world wants to define as success or a great project. No, that is, yeah, no, that definitely, that's huge. That's huge. And I feel like it's not said enough, because sometimes we forget those things, or, music, especially newer musicians or guitarists, like those things are forgotten because that's all that's pushed at you. Like it's so funny. Like I dropped an instrumental, like hip hop project, like last week or whatever it is, and it's like you get that email, hey, you got 5 listens on Spotify. I'm like, all right, where do I hang myself? All right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
But then, like, I hear, on my Instagram, like, all people message, like, hey, that was really good, or hey, this is great, so it's like, okay, like, to me, that is where the metrics matter, where the people that I value, and if they hear it,
yeah.
and they get their feedback. And then at the end of the day, that I'm content with releasing whatever I did.
Uh-huh.
Like that is the ultimate metric as far as like, are you fulfilled with what you did? And then even if you're not, like, be fulfilled and still creating more,
Yeah.
It's like everyone wants to do something perfect, everyone wants to just make the perfect thing and to be represented X, Y, and Z. And, I used to be really critical of people releasing EPs when it's like, I used to argue about this with my friend Preston. He had a music review podcast that I was on for quite some time. And we'd argue as far as like, he would give people the benefit of the doubt on EPs. And I was like, no, you're releasing something like, like you need to hold it to the same standard. But, it's like at the end of the day, whatever you feel content with is really what matters.
That's like the time we live in now. Like for as shitty as like getting music out there, like promoting it or whatever is.
Yeah.
It is really like really cool that we live in a time where genres are being less and less of a thing.
Yeah.
And nobody's precious about music anymore, which is a good thing. Like it should be a toy for expression.
Yeah.
That saves people. I don't like taking it too seriously. Like I'm like I'm a Weird Al freak. Like
Nice.
I want I want the silly. You know, it has to be playful or fun.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, when to to your point, when like as far as like doing something for someone else, like I was talking about my second record, I I I did it thinking, oh, I'm going to do this thinking it's going to be for this genre or whatever, and it might work, whatever work is. And then for about 10 years after that, I played guitar in a band with Lavelle Jones. I was telling you about Lavelle, and I was in this band, and we were touring, and we had like there, you know, this Grammy nomination for a blues record, and like he was doing really well. This singer I was playing for named Sugar Ray, and uh, it was like a dream come true in that I'm touring the world with a really fucking good band. Like I was obsessed with playing with Lavelle.
Wow.
He and I drove that band like a machine. It was so fun. And it it when the Grammy nomination came in, everything got weird. Everybody got kind of like a little bit big in their shoes, you know.
Oh, like the entitlement came in.
The entitlement, well, it had always kind of been there, and
Mm.
but it really, like, you know, it flared up.
Mm.
And that's a really weird thing because like I end up playing music for all these reasons that were not why I started playing music.
Mm.
Like I caught myself, I had like a breakdown. I was like, I'm an employee. I'm not in, and also like a road employee. I'm not contributing to the albums. I'm not like being a creative partner in this at all. And I feel completely stifled. And like, it was a situation where I would bring songs because I know how he sings. So I'm like, oh, I know exactly what you sing like. And you don't write songs. So I do. And I know what you sound like. Here's some songs. And it wasn't like, it never really materialized, you know? So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I quit. And then like a year went by, and I put out a record called Hug the Cactus, which is just an EP. uh, and but it's like purposefully lo-fi. I did it in my garage. It sounds like a tin can in some places, and it's a lot of psychedelia and a lot of just trying shit, you know.
Yeah.
And I did it. I didn't even really promote it or anything. Like I just did it as like a therapy for myself because I was like I was suicidal. I was a mess. I couldn't fathom. Oh, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
here. Um,
I couldn't fathom why I was playing music, and it wasn't like what was bringing me joy anymore. It was just like, yeah, playing with Lavelle is heaven, but like those 45 minutes on stage or 90 minutes on stage is not helping the rest of the day where I'm kind of being bossed around and
yeah.
like being warehoused and kind of like an employee, you know, which is, I mean, that's the gig if you're gonna sideman, you know.
Right.
Problem is, I spent a few years not thinking I was a sideman. I spent a few years thinking I was in a band, and that's the biggest like. It was my own fault. I should have realized going in, like, no, this is a job. This is
Right.
not like you're not in. These aren't, you know, you're not like these are your buddies, but they got their own shit going on. Like
Right.
you're not on the management tier in this enterprise.
Right. Right.
So that kind of made me go like, well, not that I want to be in a management or anything like that. It's just a matter of like, I'm not creating. There's no art here.
Right.
We're playing music that someone else who's not in the band wrote.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and I'm also not playing on any of the album. Like you know, it was just like, what am I even doing here? Like you could this is a placeholder gig. You can get any guitar player for this.
Right. Right.
And that kind of realizing why I do music, like I immediately started a band that was free form, no structure, complete jam band, no genre, no song list. Just I make noise, then you make noise, then the idea was like we're children who have never picked up the instrument.
Yeah.
And we're going to fucking make click-clack noises because this is why I did this in the first place.
Right.
And that was one of the most fun like projects I ever did. It was called Potato Potato.
Is that online still for to listen to?
Yeah, there's like clips on YouTube of we only played 2 shows. Like we played 2 free shows. I felt bad charging a ticket for it, so I was like, let's do it at a coffee shop for free because like this is it's unlistenable. A lot of it's just like noise, you know. Like I played theremin for a lot of it. So like it was like more of an art project than a band.
Yeah. I mean, but as far as like the core essence of that though, I mean, I still feel like there's a lot of value and importance to that as well. It's like what you were saying before as far as, you know, like and then something that kind of connects to it. I remember when Bill Evans, he was talking, I don't know who the hell he was talking to in this video, but he was saying, he was asked as far as like, you know, like the importance of jazz or how does he define jazz. And he was just like, you know, jazz is just where you're learning this very specific, like these very specific types of techniques and chords and a lot of stuff. He says you forget all of that and you just play, you know, and I think people forget the most important part as far as forgetting all of that and just playing. You know, everyone's focused on the first few things, understanding like the technique and the modes and these chord tones and this and this and that, you know, but like they're focused on that versus like just playing with other people, you know, and that is, to me, that is why I wanted to play music in the first place, you know.
The conversation.
Right, the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that, and it's always interesting too, like when because I'm a very much an improvisational type of person from a music perspective. Like I remember playing in different jam sessions and, you know, a lot of the time when I learned playing, you know, I was like, me and a couple of my friends, we were just like playing music out of like friends, like garage or wherever the fuck it was. You know, but then when I would play with someone outside of that circle, like some people, they just knew how to play certain covers or like they knew a riff of a certain thing and that's it, you know? And
then, it's like phonetic learning.
Yeah. You know, and then, you know, I remember playing like some chords or whatnot, you know, in Guitar Center, and like this one older gentleman was like, "Wow, that sounds like wow, you improvise," you know, and I was just like, "Oh yeah," because I guess he's heard so much of like, you know, just all like these, whatever, these practice regiments, you know, and he's like, "Oh, you're like, it sounds like you're playing a song," you know, and I just like that's just always how I've just like that's how I learned.
What's that song?
Yeah, like a bunch of chords together.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, but no, I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot to be. You made so many good points too, as far as for just when I, you know, performing in LA. Also, you know, when I get the chance, because I live much further away from LA, but I just like
where are you at?
Commit to it. I'm in Riverside County, like Riverside to Orange County. So,
I used to live in Riverside.
I remember you said that once. I remember you said that once. Yeah, so I'm kind of like at the cusp of that area, but yeah, it's I mean that's 100% reality as far as like, you know, there's a difference between being in a band and like being, you know, playing a job, you know, and just like, you know, those are a lot of things to remember, especially when you're playing with people that, you know, you think you know them, but then it's like, you know, oh, like he's just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's people. They'll hide behind you.
I was like, oh, he's waiting for the Venmo or Cash App, like I am.
Yeah, okay, got you. Oh, we're in the same room. Got it.
Yeah.
We're in the same waiting room.
Right. It used to always hurt me too, you know, as far as like, you know, when you have like certain fellow musicians and like they play the same instrument as you and you're like, yeah, we're cool, you know, and then like a gig comes around and then like you don't really hear much from them or whatever the case may be, and it's like, wait, we're competition?
Wait,
we're friends, man.
am I the second chair? Your third chair? Or which way is it?
Right. Right. I'm like, when did it become that? But it's at the end of the day, it's like, it's just one of those weird unread things, It's like, because like I always, like I had to switch my mindset as far as like, when I'm seeing like Instagram people like, one of the guys I know, like crazy talented cat, like he's been performing, gig after gig after gig, like for different people. And I'm like, that's dope. You know what I mean? It's like, that's dope. Like, I can't be that guy. And I know there's people that exist like this that are just like, oh, fuck that guy being successful, getting all these gigs. I want to get all these gigs, It's just like, what is more important?
I did that too. We all do that. We all go through that phase where I'm like, look at that guy's schedule. God damn, what a schedule. Like, right. It's like, the schedule's a hot chick. Like, oh man, look at that guy. Look at the routing on that guy.
At least performing there? God damn, It's like, I wanted to perform there.
And then then the second layer is, I bet it's a door deal.
Right. Oh,
so
man.
I there's that like Norm Macdonald is my favorite comedian in the world, and
he's great.
He has this great quote where he goes like, as comedians we're intrinsically bitter and we don't like to see our contemporaries do well. And I was like, and for like my 20s, I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, especially when I put Lavelle Jones. Lavelle was like an old USC football player, and he had like a real like football, like before every gig, he was like, this is what we play for, And I adopted that with him when I was younger, playing with him. And then after he died, I was like, man, we all need to calm down. There was my favorite thing that happened. One of my favorite things Lavelle did ever was, before shows, he would be in the green room, like jumping up and down, like getting himself like hyped. Like he'd be like, come on, he'd like grab me by the shoulders, come on, Tank, and he's like shaking me. And we were playing in Roanoke, Virginia. Is it West Virginia or Virginia? I don't know. Roanoke.
Yeah.
We're playing Roanoke at this like theater, and we're in the dressing room, and Lavelle's doing his thing, but the opening act is a really brilliant singer named Diva Mahal, who's Taj Mahal's daughter.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And we're in the dressing room, and Diva had a very like a softer kind of smooth, almost neo soul blues set, and it was quiet, and it's a theater. So you could hear Lavelle from the audience in the green room yelling. Like, and just like, pumping, come on, baby, we're gonna rock this place. We're gonna and the audience is like, and I'm looking out the curtain and I see them going, the fuck is that? Like, and God bless Diva. She just kind of was very demure about it. We're like, very classy, very demure. But she was like, she just sang through it and just like looked weird, and someone tackled Lavelle and stopped him or something. But I just love that. I just love that memory.
Yeah,
it's just There's a million things like that with him where he's what kept me in that band for as long as I was in it.
Yeah,
because we were both like, this is fucking bullshit. Like,
yeah,
that's what happens when you're in a band. Like, you end up like forming little reality show alliances with like, okay, right. I'm gonna chill with you. These guys suck me.
He doesn't know the music.
He doesn't. Did you see the horn player still on book? Just little shitty musician jabs, like.
Yeah.
Here's all those notes you dropped.
Oh man. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. I guess lastly, man, again, it's been great talking to you.
Always, man.
Any lasting things for your fans to kind of keep tabs on, or anything you wanted to plug?
Nope. No, like, yeah, just follow me, I guess, or say hi. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a the plugs part of the podcast is where I always press. Like I don't care where the Legion of Skanks are going to be. I'm gonna. But yeah, just follow me, look me up, and then email me and say hi.
There you go. There you go.
My phone's about to die. I love you. I'll call you soon. Bye.
All right, man. All right, folks. So that's going to wrap it up here for the 440 Guitar Podcast. Thanks again, Gino Matteo, for being here on the show again. And just to let you guys know, we're going to have some new episodes here coming soon. It's going to be presented in a different way. We won't have a guest all the time, but there will be some great episodes here for you coming up soon. We're back, 440 Guitar Podcast. Catch you guys next time. Thanks.